All right, yes, sir. Thank you and thank you. Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM. On, yes, moving on to the Citizens Forum. Well, again, we will go out in search of how to have a lasting industrial peace within our medical sector. We all know how vital that area is to us. A lot of complaints during the week. I think on the quick take segment we try to sample your opinion about the public health system. Well, not surprising that many of you has a vote of no confidence with what you see, what you go through when you get to those public health sectors. If you're not going through some of these difficulties, it is the workers in there themselves that are at loggerheads, either the group they call doctors or the medical association or the other group, the non-medical workers, the one they call the joint health sector, which include the nurses, laboratory technologists, pharmacists, even the administrators and other non-medical professionals working in the hospital. Nigerians are really frustrated. I think too that government is also frustrated. That is why they are coming out with some measures to ensure that they address this frustratingly Aghemerio too. Each time one group or a sector, a group, yes, in that medical sector comes out with a position, the other ones immediately counter it. If one calls for something, they need something, the other one immediately asks for the same thing. Even when to us who are not working there, they don't need it. So there seems to be that Jacob and Esau issue between the two of them. So how do we resolve this? Government says the Ayale Ahmed report. We will explain what Ayale Ahmed report means when our guest comes in. And I've also, through the Minister of Health, told us some of the steps to be taken. Well, are they drastic enough? Would they be long lasting? Can they stand the test of time? Can they give us this permanent solution to the problems? Even the some people will refer to them as baby doctors. I'm sorry. Apologies to everybody. I don't mean to insult them. The members of the Resident Doctors Union, National Association of Resident Doctors, have their own issues with both the hospital and the government itself. So how do we stop this permanently? That's what we'll be looking at. Dr. Adewunmi Alayaki will be our guest. He's not in yet. The immediate past Secretary General of the Nigerian Medical Association. Dele Ayodo is my own name.
I am Aghemerio, Oaikhenan. All right, talking about health, health is wealth, health is real, and this issue has been on forever, just like Dele Ayodo said. And not until this issue is curbed, in fact, even the populace, talking about the general populace, will not even be safe because we get to public hospitals from time to time and you get to know that doctors are on strike. Okay, we have nurses on strikes. We have those got to be in charge of the laboratories also on strike, and then many will have to start looking for alternatives. And of course, the alternatives will become the private, the private hospitals. But then the government also came up with a policy of no work, no pay, and also medical doctors are not expected to have a private hospitals. Okay, and that is to run their own private shows
That's when they are still
when they're
serving
still
in their
serving.
public
All right,
service.
and that calls for because already that's already generating heat in that sector because we have some practicing medical doctors in the public sector actually running their own private hospitals, and that's truly work. Talking about the policy that the federal government is coming up with, will it work? Will these doctors accept? And then we'll also have the issues of even some nurses, okay, members of Johesu running their own chemist, sort of. Will they all can they also be affected? Because in that real sense, I think what goes for the geese should go for the gander. It's just a thought, actually. But I just hope that would not be raised, in a short while too. That okay, if doctors shouldn't run, or practicing doctors shouldn't run their own private hospitals. What about the nurses? What about members of JHSO having
Can
a
nurses?
chemist
Well, they do
and
here
other
in
things?
Nigeria. I was going to ask you if nurses also runs hospital, but I just remember that nothing is impossible
Nothing is impossible,
in this
actually.
country. On doctors in public health sector running private hospitals, I've not been able to lay my hand exactly on that verdict, but a senior judge told me that there's a judgment, there's a law that backs them doing that, that it is not wrong, it is not illegal for them to actually do that. And of course, I think the medical ethics also say once you are 10 years old in the field, in the profession, you can have a private hospital. Let's have this break and we welcome our guest.
These songs of freedom is all I ever have.
Oh yes, we are back. Daybreak Show, Rock City 101.9 FM here in Abeokuta, Citizens Forum. Yes, we have our guest with us, Dr. Adewunmi Alayaki. Welcome to the Citizens Forum Daybreak Show.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning. And listeners at home, I say good morning to you all.
Okay, Dr. Alayaki, first, with the current situation, posture positioning of, let me now say, the three key groups in our hospitals, the resident doctors, the medical doctors, and the joint health sector workers. Do you think we can have peace in the
Well, thank you
hospital?
very much. I believe, number one, resident doctor is an arm of the Nigerian Medical Association. The parent body is the Nigerian Medical Association, under which we have our 6 affiliates, of which resident doctors, NAT, is an arm of. Although some people will say that's a militant arm of
Yeah, in
the
recent times,
Nigerian
they've
Medical
more
Association.
they've
Yes.
been more vocal,
So,
more agitated.
when you look at what they stand for at times, we have no option than to support them occasionally because we know they're not just being selfish. But go back to your question that whether there will be peace or there will not be peace. There should be peace and there can be peace if we are all ready to come together, understand. Drop this toga of, no, this is how it should be, this is how it should be. It's not about that, it's about what do we have on papers. It's about what, the extant law says concerning, your job description and what have you. It's not because I've been allowed to do one or two things and you now say because I can do it or what have you, without relevant certificates to back it up, you just want to say, okay, I want to be like so person. That's not how it is being done. You understand? We have things on ground. We have the lay down rules. If we have all those things, and we job description for each out of the ones I've mentioned, I think that will be relevant and there will be peace. But in the case in which we believe it should be done this way, it should be done this way, but it is not, clearly documented that way, and that is not what you can find in other climes. Do you understand my point? Then it becomes, an issue that we have to question. We have to, what is the rationale behind this? But if I know, by virtue of my training, by virtue of my certificate, this is what I should be done, this is what I'm limited to, then you face it. I can't come to the hospital and say, yes, I want to function as a nurse, and I want to function as a pharmacist because I don't have the relevant certificates to back it up. So I face my work as a doctor and I face it squarely. And if the recent law says this is this, this is that, we follow it to the letter. And once you can do that one, that will be peace. But in the case if somebody is thinking that after all, I've stayed for too long in the system. Yes, what can he do that I cannot do? You understand? And despite that, so remuneration that's accruable to him should come to me.
We'll come
Uh-huh.
to that,
Okay.
Dr. Alayaki, but government appears to be frustrated
Yeah.
with all this, and they are coming up with checking their books, coming up with different uh, laws or other statements trying to resolve this. I'm sure you are aware of the Yayale Ahmed report,
Yeah.
and of course, some statements, recent statement from the Minister of Health,
Yeah.
who is also a member of the NMA, or is he not?
Yeah, he is.
Now, with the resident doctor's position on practice code for doctors itself and for JOSU itself, how far can this go in resolving this?
Thank you very much. I want to tell you that our government is not sincere. You understand? We are paying lip service to what we should do. I appeared before the earlier Ahmed committee as a sitting secretary of the Nigerian Medical Association between 2014 and 2016. The ESCO before me submitted, our own position. During the interactive sessions that we had, there were 32 associations, out of which NMA and another arm of NMA, the pathologists, presented papers. Other 30 were from JOSU. They split themselves into different kind of association of this dental therapy, this one, that one, that one. They presented all those papers. And the committee received memoranda from different groups, aside from the health sector. You understand? They went to other clients to study what they do over there, looking for best practice all over the world. And by the time they came back, they came out with a report that we have listened to you. Aside from associations, they listen to regulatory bodies like Medical and Dental Council, the body that's regulating pharmacists, the body that's regulating nurses and what, nursing council. They listen to everybody. In fact, during some of these analysis sections, we even stood up as if there were going to be fisticuffs. But thank God we did not resort to that. Now, they now came out with a report. If you knew you would not, implement such a report, why did you have to fund? In the first instance, go and bring such
that's government.
Go and do this kind of investigations. You did that and they came out. Aspect that affects the doctors, they put there. Aspect that affects other groups, they put there. And we are now put dragging. The report came out since 2015 or so. And 2 years after, the white paper has not come out. We have a draft of white paper, but it has not really seen the light of the day. So it is the government itself that I believe they are not ready. Until the government is ready to put its feet down and say, no, enough is enough. We've had enough from you people. But government will not do that. The reason is that they themselves are not really sincere. They are not funding, health sector the way it's supposed to be funded. So they know that, we don't have anything to say. But if government can do the proper funding of the health sector, then you should be able to put your feet down and say, no, this is what's obtainable here, what's obtainable here. This is what we have in the extant laws, the rules and regulations, the act that establish you. This is what it says. Then you'll be able to follow it to the letter. Everybody will sit tight.
But of course, the extant laws can be changed as well. It can be adjusted, isn't it?
Even the earlier made committee recommended some adjustments in some of the extant laws because we have overlaps. Just in some of the regulatory bodies, they will tell you MDC can do this one, they will tell you that people can do this one or what have you. And they looked into it where there were overlaps and try to adjust and try to make recommendations. But what are we doing? 2 years after, we are still on the same spot.
One of the things JOSU is requesting for is also to take on the position of the medical director, isn't it?
The extant law says that position is for the medically qualified personnel. And they put there the number of years you must have had, as an experience. The kind of, what's it called? You must be a fellow of medical college, either West African or national. If you are just a doctor with MBBS, you cannot aspire to become the medical director of this institution of Federal Medical Center. You must be a fellow. Even doctors themselves. The door is shut against some of the people. So if you have it like that, you cannot say you want to aspire. If you want to aspire, go to the National Assembly from the first instance to amend that act, that law that says this is what should happen.
Now, if JOSU is asking for an amendment, would the medical doctors not kick against that?
Even if we kick against it, we'll put everything.
Why would the medical doctor kick against
Excuse me. We will kick against it because normally anywhere in the whole world, the leader of the team we know. The leader of the team we all know. And we always tell people, you come to the hospital, And when you come to the hospital, somebody who has, in quotes, knowledge of almost every aspect of, medical practice, that should be there. It has been in the past when we were using administrators. They had used administrators in this country before. In countries where they use administrators, and they found out they were not even going the way it's supposed to go. And let me tell you, we always tell people, I as a surgeon cannot come into the hospital and demanding for this. But I can talk to my fellow that, look, this thing is not going the way it's supposed to be done. And if you have somebody there that, I don't know how to put it, but I want to tell you that if you come to a round table and we discuss, and they now say, no, let the law be changed to this. Why? We know the law has been changed to favor whoever is going to be favored. Let us use the right approach.
But there appears to be, sorry, another hiccup, a problem to, and hurdle to be crossed before we move on. Government have signed different agreements with these different groups, the unions. Some as far back 2002 and have not honored it. So if you sign an agreement, you have a copy, and then you have not honored it, and suddenly you are coming to plead or want to play smart one. Who will be said to be guilty? The person who is refusing to discuss, or the person who is asking?
Thank you very much. That I said initially, government is not sincere. Let me tell you.
Sorry, you still have your time, because why I ask this question is, just as government is signing different agreement with NMA, they're also signing with this group.
That's what I'm saying. Right from the word go. At times, they sign under duress.
What does that mean?
Just for people to see, when there's one part, when they're on strike or whatever, people will start shouting, government answer them, do this one, do that one. I get my point. Rather for them to sit down and do holistic review to whatever demands they're putting on the table, and put their feet down. No, this is what we should do, and this is what we can afford. This is what we can do. You now sign under duress, knowing fully well that you cannot implement what you're signing. Why do you have to sign? Because they themselves, they have failed in their own responsibilities. If you have not failed, if you have put everything in place, what's supposed to be done, if you know you cannot go ahead, go and resign. But you know, because of your own failure, you now quickly, package everything together. We have individuals who know that I'm in this office, but I'm a failure. I've not done anything. Collectively, they know they have not done anything. They now put it on paper. Within 2-3 months, they will renege on the agreement, which is wrong. Because once you sign, those people will fulfill their own bargain by resuming back to work. They are not expecting you to implement what you have signed with them. Later, you now start begging. We're just exercise patience with us. Why did you sign in the first instance? And once you sign, it becomes a document that people will brandish before you, that this is what government has signed before us. And members will believe you. So that's a mistake they are making. So I believe government should be able to come out sincerely. We cannot implement this. We cannot implement this. This is what we have. This is what we have. If it's not going down well with you, then you can as well resign and let new people come on board. But in the case you don't want to do that, you understand? So you allow all these problems to accumulate. One day, you understand? The over or what have you is going to burst, because people will get bottled up and they will burst one day. So government is still the key in what we are talking about. And we have requested, let us have a stakeholders meeting. As a sitting NMA secretary, we wrote a letter to the government. Call all these people, let us sit down on the same round table. Forget about the earlier made committee report. Now, government is sitting down with us. Let us now discuss. Take issues one by one. And we have our agreements. And by the time we are coming out like that, it's not that you see these people, you sign an agreement with them, you see these people, you sign an agreement with them. If you know it's giving you problem, call relevant stakeholders meetings.
Now, if the government is not calling a stakeholders meeting, is it possible that the NMA and Aghemerio come together, call a meeting, and then both parties will sit?
Thank you very much. There was a move when I was assistant secretary that we should just meet with these people. Let me tell you the gospel truth. At times when you meet with the leadership of a group, that they will agree with you that yes, there is need for us to come together, but we have to go back to our people. Are you getting my point? As the NMA, before we say, okay, we want to meet with these people, we'll have a congress. We have to carry our congress along. We'll have a meeting that, okay, permit us. We want to meet with this group. They'll say, go ahead. And before you meet their own group, you meet with the leadership and they'll tell you, well, let's go. By the time they get to their group, they say, no, if you go, there's going to be problem, what have you? And they cannot do anything behind. If my congress should tell me you cannot go, you cannot go. That's not the point. Because they see all these things. But if the regulatory ministry says all must come, no, why would you say you are not going to come? It's not possible. Now we've been trying to. We are now, at the national level. NMA is now romancing pharmacists. We are romancing nurses, and it's like we are getting to a place. Understand? We are doing that one. We now invite ourselves to, the functions of nurses. NMA president will go there. Functions of pharmacists. NMA president will go there. We've been talking. I get my point. But it will get to a point that the person you are talking to is not the final, doesn't have the final say. He has the congress that is leading. The congress will tell you, no, you are going too far. Even NMA, they can tell NMA president, you are going too far. We didn't send you this one. Do you understand? And if they say that, if you go ahead and do whatever they can, you can be impeached. So, but if government says, let all of you meet, we want to meet in Abuja with the regulatory ministry saying that, yes, I'm going to be the chairman, I'm going to share the occasion, and you're all here. Come and present your papers. I will present all the papers. We invite the relevant people, and by the time we are coming out with a document, the whole world will now see that,
And you think that truly can be the solution to all
it can still, to some extent, it can still work. Because if you have been doing all this individualistic work and it's not working, then let us have a collective decision. Let us sit down together and discuss.
Now, what do you think about the government, the federal government, coming up with the issue of of practicing medical doctors in the public sector, the public hospitals, or running a private hospital?
Thank you very much. It's not a solution. It was done before, and when it failed, Babangida changed it. If you say that people are going to resign en masse, let me tell you the gospel truth. Number one, if government should do the needful, there will be no need for anybody to say, I want to have a practice somewhere. If I'm well remunerated the way I'm supposed to be remunerated, and I know if I work till 3:30, I go back home and rest, and I know that what is going to come to my bank account at the end of the month is going to be enough for me and my family, there will be no need for you to say you want to cut anything somewhere. Number one. Number two, when you have more than enough people that we train with our money here in the country, when they are well remunerated, there will be no need for them to travel to other countries to go and practice. That we now have less than 40,000 doctors practicing in Nigeria to see to the health of over 190 million Nigerians. It's not possible. Number two is that if you now say, if you want to stay with government, this is what we do for you. Now, other countries will tell you that, okay, as a businessman, or because we know you are into business, we give you a soft loan of a single digit interest. We now have mega practices here and there. When you do that one, you either face your private practice or you face government practice. But government practice not well funded. Private practice people are going to not well funded. You don't even have, you cannot access loan, you cannot do what have you. So government should come, they should forget about, they should drop their own shortcomings. They should look at their own shortcomings, and say, if you do this, it's going to better the lot. When you do the right thing, things will fall into the right place they're supposed to be.
Now, let's look at this residency program too. If you aggregate it in the last 12 months, it's like one strike every month in the country by these residents. Doctors and government is proposing that we have a straight 6 or 7 years residency program, and you automatically, compulsorily drop out.
You exit.
Okay, that's the word. You exist. Is there anything wrong in this, and can this address this problem again?
It still bothers on the same thing I've been talking about. You understand? Do the right thing, everything will fall into place. In the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, people will come in, do their residency, 4, 5, 6 years, they exit. Without any break in the program. Because things were done normally. The remuneration, were paid. Allowances, paid as I went due. Nothing would break. There was light, water, everything we needed to run the business then. We're going on fine. But governments they have neglected the health system. And if we say we lead, we should be the one to tell government do the right thing. When we have our meetings, we talk to ourselves. And I'll be telling people, nobody in the whole world will want to abandon the duty post. But when government will not do the right thing, and before they say, because you remember, before you go on strike, there's rules that you have to follow. You declare, you have been writing letters, let us discuss. Government will ignore. You declare an ultimatum, government will ignore. Because they know that what you people are talking about is the truth. What you have written to us that you want to discuss with us is the truth. But what are we going to say? At times, I'm meeting to tell you, we know we have failed. But just please take us the way we are. You cannot take you the way you are. If you are admitting you have failed, then what do you want to do? Do you want to remain, perpetually in that failure? Or you do something to correct the failure that you people have? But you would not be begging. You don't beg association to say, we have failed, we know we have not done the right thing, what have you. Then you can't tell us that now we know we have failed. Why you set aside this something, we want to address this failure immediately. And let the failure be addressed. Why must we be fighting for the same thing that we signed for 2002? 2014, you still be fighting for the same thing that you did not implement? You still be telling us about failure. They came to Abuja here, they talked about what's the amount that should be earmarked for health sector in annual budgets as 15%. Yearly, the highest one we ever had was 3.65%. And people should not talk. Let us leave remuneration aside. We have a lot of issues. But if you do the right thing, if you know you have put the right thing in place, and anybody talking, just say, look, if you know you cannot abide with what we have on paper, can you please resign?
No, still on the same position, resident doctor. For those who are annoyed with this incessant strike, the position is that it is a duplication of requests and agitation from resident doctors and their senior members, the NMA or consultants. It is the same thing that why can't you, the true group, put this together? And for the other hand, today it is the resident doctor that are on strike. The doctors are not on strike. Tomorrow the doctors are on strike. Resident doctors
when last
are
was
not
doctors, the NMA? When last the NMA?
More agitated. Okay, let's say
no,
agitated.
NMA.
When I say strike, I'm not saying a general strike. That's as we speak. I think is it Enugu or one?
Go and look at what they are demanding for. Just let me tell you.
So that's what why don't we have a common front? Why should resident doctor come today?
No, we always have a common front. But the group affected, mostly, is the resident doctors practicing in federal medical centers.
Why don't they put those agitation under their senior colleagues?
You cannot call NMA out on strike, because if you cannot call NMA strike out on strike in Ogun State, it means doctors who are not being affected by what they are asking for, you understand, will go on strike. We have doctors working with state governments. If NMA should say, yes, we are declaring a one-month strike, it means doctors who are not even affected by what the federal doctors are asking for will go on strike here. It's unfair. So that's the reason. So NMA will still tell you that, okay, we support what they're asking for, but we are not calling our members out on strike, because if you call out our members on strike, it means local government doctors will have to go on strike, state government doctors will have to go on strike, even doctors who are working in the private places will have to go on strike. So you now do, okay, now you are affected by what is going on. You go.
Are these young doctors not restive in some of their requests?
You see, like we said, you do your program for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, you exit. Abi, another group will come in. I've been in state government employment since year 2000. Now, I've been rising. These people will exit, another group will come. They meet same problem on ground. You mean our seniors fought for this, they couldn't get it, we want to get it. You mean that's not fought for this in this facility, they didn't implement, we have to do. So as they come in, understand, you won't find those doctors who fought 5 years ago are not the set of doctors fighting now. They've exited. So they have become consultants. They've moved on in life. But you have another group there now. So it's not a permanent job. So if you have different groups coming in every year, so I get my point. So they have different demands they have, or even demands they demanded for a few years back to say, government, implement what you signed with our seniors some years back. And if it is not done, they will placate them, beg them they will exit the program. Another set will come again. They will meet the same problem on ground, and they will fight for it again.
Or the agitations may just be right, okay, and then if there's a need for any group or organization or association to go out and make their demands, well, it's allowed by the law. But then let's look at the issue of no work, no pay. How would you accept that if that is eventually brought on by the government?
Well, if you want to do that, it means I have done everything that's needed to be done. Everything on paper. On my own part, I've fulfilled and I've satisfied what I'm supposed to do. That will not make you to demand for anything or you want to go on strike. If you do, you now know that. Because what are you asking for? You said I should put water in this facility, there is water. There should be accommodation for people, for doctors. You have the accommodation. Your allowances are being paid as I went due. Then why do you have to go on strike? But in the case in which you have not done your own part of the bargain, and I'm not asking for it, as I let us discuss, we have not discussed. And you're not telling me it's like you want to amuse me, not for me not to demand for my what's it called? Rights. So if you have not done it, you cannot tell me. You don't give room for me to go on strike, and I'll be telling me that if you go on strike, you will not pay me.
Now, still talking about strike, has strike ever brought about your demands
Or solve the
or
Solve.
solve the situation?
Thank you very much. That's what I said. Our government is never sincere. When we led the national strike in June 2014, we came up with 23-point demand. And government, you know, we were on strike for 55 good days. By the time, we were calling off the strike, we signed almost everything. The ones they explained to us that this one cannot be done, this one cannot be done. Let me give you what happened. We met with President Jonathan twice. By the time we met with David Mark, he told us point blank. He said, this one, this one, this one, this one, I can assure you are going to be done, even without meeting with Mr. President. This one I'm going to seek for his audience to see how we can do it. He said, this we cannot do, and no government will do it. And then we all agreed with him because he was sincere with us that this one we cannot do. We were sincere. We requested for 24 hours, and we told our Congress, look, these 4 points, they've been knocked off by the government and cannot do it. So okay, fine. If they have knocked those ones off, this one they said they want to do, let's see. And this one he says he wants to go and demand. He said 9 o'clock tomorrow, let us meet. By 9 o'clock we met in his quarters. First time. When we met in his quarters, he said, I told you people, those ones I told you are going to be done, none of them was rejected by the Mr. President. We are going to do all those ones. The ones I said I will discuss with him, out of about 6 or what have you, they agreed that we should do 4. Remaining 2 we are not going to do. And we had an agreement. Understand? We agreed with him that okay, fine, those ones we are going to drop. And we came back, we educated our members. And they now signed. We signed. We went back to work. Only for those things not to be implemented again. So when you look at it, not that it will not solve. It will solve to some extent. If they had not renewed on the agreement signed, would you have any reason to go back on strike again? No.
Alright, at this point we have to take the break to allow the national news to come up at 10 o'clock. After that, we'll be turning over the microphone to you for your questions, comments to our guest, Dr. Adewunmi Alayaki, is immediate past Secretary General Nigerian Medical Association. We'll be back.
With us on Rock City 101.9 FM. It's still the Daybreak Show Citizens Forum segment is what we are on, and we have been talking about the different and lingering industrial actions and the challenges between the NMA, the JHESU, and the federal government. And we've been having him with us in the studio, Dr. Adewunmi Alayaki. And of course, he's been opening up on so many issues for us. And now it's time for us to leave the lines open and all the channels for you to be part of this so you can ask your questions and also make your contributions. Remember, when you're making your contributions, just make it as short as possible and precise as well. And we have the student line 0809 868 7344, or you call 0909 146 9670. You can also use the shortcut platform 32120. All you need to do is type ROCK, leave a space. Let's have your comments or your contributions or your questions. Include a name, send it to 32120, or you tweet at Rock City FM, or you use our Facebook fan page, Rock City 11.9 FM.
All right, that's it, and please ensure that the rules of the game is adhered to. Move away from that telephone when you're putting, sorry, from the radio when you're putting that call through, and no insult, please. There should be no insult, no abuse on any individual or personality as you make your comments. Don't come up with claims that cannot be substantiated. We don't want falsehood or propagation. All right, let's go.
Good morning.
Dr. Alayaki, our secretary.
Good morning, sir.
Once a secretary, always a secretary.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You've spoken so well.
Thank you, sir.
But I want to make one or two comments. And I will want to start with the question.
Yes, sir.
Can we have peace in health?
Yes, sir.
And then I will ask you, can they have world peace? In fact, it's not even desirable to have too much peace. Too much peace is not good for
The
your
health sector is not as good as the world. It's not as big
yes, I'm saying.
as
And
the
too much
world.
as that, peace that really would create this thing. I'm just joking. Yes, we can. And if you want to. And we can, to some extent. But there are certain misconceptions. Like what Ayodo said, can nurses run hospitals? Of course, yes. It's only that we look at nurses in Nigeria as those ones people in white standing on the road asking for service to go to work. Nurses are professors.
Yeah.
Nurses teach in the university.
Yeah.
Nurses are running. In fact, one of the best lectures I've ever had on prostate cancer in the United States of America was delivered by a nurse who was from the University of California. So when we look at nurses, let us look down at the ones we see. We look down at that. Unfortunately, nurses allow themselves to be looked down upon. No, it's not true. They can't. Nurses run the theater. That is happening in some places. So they can run it. But we are coming to federal government hospitals. When you talk of federal government, there's a law which says, and Allah has said it, that for you to be a medical director, you must be a fellow for a particular period of time. Dr. Lackey in the spirit knows that there was a time we appointed an MBBS, a BDS, to be a medical director who had no fellowship.
Yeah.
In this country, with that law, Decree 10, Decree 100 of 1985, is still in existence. An MBBS became the head of a tertiary institution in this country. And other people that were not asking, wait a minute, how can an MBBS be when I have a PhD? How can an MBBS be when I have a master's? Why can an MBBS be when I have this and this? That is what creates, that's why JSU wants to be medical director. We should let us situate it very well. The decree is there, but what happened to Federal Ministry? Federal Ministry of Health, Sector 1, who is BDS, becoming head of hospital, a special system, signing fellowship letter for people to get fellowship exams. And a very terrible thing will happen. Nobody talked about it. So what are we talking about now? Even most of the problems we now have, nurses wanting to be consultants. Who started it? He started in one of our tertiary institutions.
Exactly.
When a doctor, a medical director appointed his wife, a consultant, as a nurse. What are we talking about? For goodness sake, let us leave this in. Can we have it? Yes. When we respect other people, there are so many things I cannot say for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And Allah will know why I will not say.
I
We
agree,
cannot
sir.
say it, but for goodness sake, let us please respect each other because we are equally important. Doctors cannot work without nurses.
Yeah.
Nurses cannot work without this and what have you. As the ARD is a branch of NMA. You cannot be an ARD and not NMA member. For goodness sake, before ARD goes on strike, NMA must be informed and they will sanction it. So it's not as if ARD alone, the doctors. Dele, if you had MBBS, you want to do your postgraduate at your age, you can still be a resident doctor.
Yeah.
So it's not baby doctors. That is another thing people say, which is not correct. Anybody at the age of 90 and you still want to be a postgraduate, so you are a resident doctor, you do not want to do it. No! Let us leave all this. The problem is for the ministry. Why they don't want to say the truth, they hide under and start bringing other things. That is where they talk like this. And number two, they are not funding hospitals well. I can talk about the anybody in my lecture the other 2 Fridays ago, and you heard what I said. The problem is government. Let them sort out themselves and all the other things. Jesu are friends. We are friends of Jesu. We marry Jesu. We are this thing. So what is this fight they are fighting? There's no fight. It's the inconsistent in the system.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much,
that's
sir.
Dr. Ebenezer Anko. We actually have to give him that much of a time to talk from his experience. If those who don't know, he was once an acting CMD, Chief Medical Director. So this is his field. That's why we permitted him to also share his
Sir, to buttress his
thought.
point, you know, I mentioned that if at all they want to aspire to become the CMD, they should just approach, you know, the National Assembly so that the law regulating or that established the CMD, I mean, teaching hospitals that says only those who can aspire to be, so it can be changed. And if it's changed in their favor, no problem. That's my point from what he said. So I don't think there should be any problem.
Okay, let's take more calls. Let's take them.
Yeah, Mr. Dele, good morning, sir.
Morning, you sound faint.
Yeah,
Okay,
are
it's
you with
better
me
now.
now?
Yes, better now.
So please, our guest this morning, please, I only want to understand one thing. You said government. Please, who are those governments? Because I found out that it is your brother, my brother, our brother that is in that seat. 2019, they are going to be there again. That is those people that you know. You may be there again, no, and answering government. And one other thing, can you serve two masters at the same time? Because I need to know that the reason why this strike every now and then, just because they have something to do. Assuming that there's no way income is coming in, they could have resolved it because doctors, they are just like police, army, so on and so forth. How do you see them go for strike? But the masses are suffering it. When the government you are talking, when they have sickness or whatever, they go outside the country to go and train it. But I myself here and you are suffering it. Please, how is it going to be? Is this right? Have a nice day.
All right, thank you. Aghemerio. Why are people linking this to 2019? I don't know.
I can't figure it either.
I don't.
All right.
I don't. Okay, let's add your call. Hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Morning. Please, can you speak up a
Can you
bit?
speak up, Reverend Alabi? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I want to believe that this group of people you are talking about, the medical doctors and nurses, they are very respected people and they are very responsible. I believe. And the government on their own side should do the needful. And even the management of those hospitals should respect the agreement between the doctors, the GSO, and other group of people working in the hospital. And do the needful. I believe if they do that, these people, by the grace of God, will discharge their duty as at when due. Like yesterday, I was hearing from the news that the chief coach of Spike, the salary is about 50 million per month. Compared to those people working tirelessly every day, day and night. Please, the government and the management of those hospitals should please respect the agreement between their workforce. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right, one call more, and then we'll
Hello.
maybe add messages.
Hello.
Good morning, Dele. Good morning, Aghemerio. Good morning, Dr. Alayaki.
Good morning,
My
sir.
name is Jamal. I'm calling from Abeokuta.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Demola.
Yeah. Now, what do Dr. Alayaki, what do you say about the insincerity with government and the people? And at the same time, you bring yourself there, you in-house fighting within yourself. How do you resolve it? And how does it come by? After you have agreed on something, and at the end of the day, government will now use divide and rule on something, and then you will be destabilized. That is one. Then two, our Minister of Health was once the secretary of NMA or somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Why is it that when they get power, they will not be making rules antagonizing the organization? Why is it so? Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much, sir. I love your questions, the two questions you asked. Number one, I'll start from the rear. The Minister of Health was the former NAT secretary. He was the former secretary of Nigerian Medical Association at national level, and now, a former VC of University of Ibadan, and now the Minister of Health. Actually, at times when you sit down with these people, you pity them. because if they want to do anything, they have the power, the final say, they will do the right thing. But because they still have a principal they have to report to, who will be the final person to say, okay, yes, let us approve. At times when you sit down, you see the disappointment in them. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, when people are disappointed like that, rather for them to say, look, if you don't give me, the room to function as what the name I'm being called, let me just resign. So they just want to continue, to do what have you. And doing that, at times, they are destroying the name you have built over the years. You understand? Only few Nigerians that will do that and say, okay, I think I've had enough. You are not going to do the right thing because this is the right thing to be done. If you're not going to do it, let me just throw in the towel. So that's number one. Number two, that the relationship between government and doctors, nurses, or what have you. Like I said, if government should do the right thing, and say this is what we have on paper, this is that, and put everything there. I won't lie to you. Nobody. There was no love lost between among health workers in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, even 90s. Suddenly this whole thing just, even if they were early that time, it was not as as pronounced as we are having now. And Dr. Uncom just he threw some light to what we have on ground. But unfortunately the whole thing started rearing its head. Started hearing here, I'm seeing myself as the alpha and omega, you understand? Because dear Lord, dear Lord, we cannot say everything and will not talk to ourselves too. At the level of doctors, we do talk to ourselves. As the leader of the team, you have to carry every other person along. You don't say because of what have you. But when other things are put in place for proper functioning of the health sector, everything will fall into place. And if you now say this is this is that, if you don't, you cannot conform with what we have on ground, then the best thing for you is to resign. But everybody will have known that government has done its own part. But when government has not done its own part and you just want things to be done this way, nothing will happen. And when you are meeting with NMA, this is what you will do. You're meeting with Nigeria, this is what you will do. That's why I said they can call us together under the same roof and let us discuss. And when we discuss, we now say, okay, how do we harmonize everything we have discussed here? And by the time you bring out the harmonized version of the documents you have signed, honestly speaking, everybody will have known that okay, government has done its own part. You understand? But what we are looking for, what we are asking for, everybody is asking for relevance. Everybody is asking for, okay, if I put this one, some of the things, some of the demands, at times it is not doable. This demand is not doable. But you put it there just to call attention. But by the time you now sit down and say, this one is not doable, this one cannot do, this one is not possible, but this one is possible, everybody will agree that truly this one is possible, this one is not possible. But we need to approach all these issues in the right manner. And once we approach in the right manner, we harmonize everything together and we'll come out with a document that will be acceptable to all in the health sector. Then going for Reverend Alabi Mike. Well, we thank God for everything. You said NMA, the issue, they are very respected and responsible. Government should do the needful and respect any agreement signed. Yes, I agree with you. If, like I said, at times they knew ab initio that they cannot do what they are signing. I see no reason why they should sign. I see no reason why you tell them that we cannot do this thing. Give us time. Let us go and put our house in order. And after we must put our house in order, they've been telling us for the past 2 years now. They want to build 700 and what have you, primary health care centers in some of the 4 local governments. I don't think they've laid any foundation in any of the local governments. They've been telling us this, none of them has been done. And these are the things we demanded for. That okay, fortify, strengthen the primary health care delivery in this country. You find that all these problems are going to come down. And they agreed, they signed for us. Until tomorrow, no single block has been laid in any of the local governments, which is very, very wrong. When you know you could not do it, why did you use to campaign? Why did you say, okay, we'll do it for you? And we know masses. Look at NHIS. We have been talking about NHIS. It's the key in anywhere because no health is not free. It's being paid for by somebody. And if you can do that one and let people pay, by the time you get to the hospital, out of pocket, nothing, you are not paying for anything. You just get there. And if you go to Europe and America, if you want to do MRI, it is captured. If you want to do CT scan, it is captured. And you just walk in, you do it, and you go. And somebody is going to pay for it. Nobody is part of the contribution you'll be making. But we've been talking about it. Let us help our people. So once that one is done, it's even going to fight quackery. But government has been paying deep service to it. And when you're going to listen to government, you find corruption here and there. If somebody has embezzled the money here. Maybe government can be sincere for once and tackle all these headed problems. They are going to be a good solution at the end of the day. Then talking about who are those in government? Yes, which is human beings are in government. It is human beings. But you see, once you are not in power and you don't have money, so when you get to power, that's when you start seeing all those things. And our system, has given room for that because somebody has that power. If I say go, they go. If I say don't go, they don't go. Until when we come together and put a structure that there's not only one person that will say go. Once there is a existing structure, you follow what we have. You follow what you have on ground, and the system will work. There was a time I said, there are this show of house officers. House officers will finish, they finish their program. For you to employ another house officer, you have to write again to government to give approval, which is wrong. Put a structure. Should that go, should that come? The money is always coming. Once you finish your 12 months, you go. Another set you take immediately. And once MDCN has given you accreditation that you can always take 50 house officers, and money is coming, you don't need to, there shouldn't be any gap. But nobody is doing that just because they know that the period, when some house officers must have gone, and for the period they are asking for another one to come on board, the money that's supposed to be for their salary is going to be going to private pockets. So you understand my point? So nobody will don't support it. But if you can put a structure that should that go, should that come, once you know that you cannot take more than 50 house officers, once they exit the program, you take another 50. The money is there for you to pay. That's the structure. You don't need approval of anybody. So until when we get to a level that we can put up structures that will work in this country, and it's not only in health sector, it's everywhere, that you know that this is what is being done, and that if you don't do it, people will question you. You understand? So those are the things. Unless government comes out and be sincere with the people they are leading. If they are not, you keep on shouting. And in this country, part of the world, we always say, I'm all alone. We always accept everything. I pity people at times. I pity workers at times. They are coming with something like, okay, 30,000 naira as minimum wage. We are looking at it. Is that feasible? But don't let me talk about it. Don't let me raise up sentiments, whip up sentiment now. You understand? It is not. It is not. But you see, people that are supposed to know better, some of people will say, oh, it's a big money, let us take it, let us take it. Within 2 months, we know that that money is not even enough for you to do anything. So now you strengthen the naira without increasing the salary, the wage. Or if you allow the salary to be falling any day, anytime, then you increase the wage.
Alright, we got some tweets here. This came from Arowolo Damilari. Kindly consider the nursing curriculum to know if they don't have idea of all aspects. And still coming from Arowolo Damilari, if we want to truly work as a team in the health sector, this mindset won't help us. We got another tweet from Arowolo Damilari. Please invite your HESO leaders too. There needs to be a balance of opinion on these issues. Yemi Da Vinci tweeted, see, Dr. Alayaki has already hit the nail on the head. Government insincerity is the basis of all the strike actions. We got this one from Prince Adewale. It saddens that government will owe health workers and teachers salary. May God help us. Akionlade Kunle O tweeted, peace is possible in the health sector only when each party does not see itself as the alpha and omega. NMA should stop this. And we got this one from IG King _Fields. Yeah, what's the name of the app? All right, we'll get back to you on that. Those are the tweets we got here. We're still expecting your tweet. Just tweet at Rock City FM, at Rock City FM. All right, that's the Twitter handle. Going straight to...
I'll quickly take them. Number one from Damilari, that nursing curriculum, what are you? I am not contesting whatever you have in the curriculum, neither am I contesting the curriculum of any other group in the health sector. But what we are talking about is that if you have an instant law, you understand the rules and regulations that establish the what is it called, the teaching hospitals, and you want to change it, what you need to do is either go to the National Assembly and make a proposal that this thing, and you support it with relevant documents and information that you believe will help your cause. Anything short of that, those who made those laws up initially must have considered a lot of things. So if you want to change in it, then you now know that we have this, we have that. Go and present your papers at the National Assembly, and if they consider all those things good enough, even if anybody is writing against them, they will tell you no. With what we have on that, what have you understand? Because now we believe in information, and with what we have now, we believe we should give it this way or we should change it this way. Anything short of that, we'll still be telling you this is what we have on paper. Then number two, we know the government is necessary, like what I've been telling you. Then doctor-patient ratio, like I said, we have less than 40,000 doctors practicing in Nigeria. to attend to the health of about 190 million Nigerians. When you look at it, you find that it is so appalling. And I've been telling people, there is no doctor that's seen a patient. By the time you are seeing the 18th or 20th patient in a day, you must have reached your carrying capacity. Because unless you are doing a wishy-washy job, you are not collecting them very well. You just say, what is your problem? What have you quickly like allow them to go. But if you want to do a thorough job for every patient you are seeing, by the time you are seeing the 20th patient, you will have reached your carrying capacity. But you see, and that's why at times that we fatigue here. In Nigeria, in the last 2 weeks, we've lost about 6 doctors. We've lost about 6 doctors. A lady in Nasarawa just finished a call duty. And she got home, she started feeling headache, and by the time she got to the hospital, she was dead. One was working, she'll be getting married on this Saturday, on the 1st. Last week, she was walking along the road, she collapsed and she died. A young doctor like that, she understand. And a resident in Abu. So when you look at it, you find the majority are overworked. They are overworked. So the ratio is so appalling that it's not supposed to be. And if you have that, there is something you need to do. Not to the doctors this time around, to all health workers, to attract them. That okay, if we do this one, maybe it's going to attract more people to come, back to the country, or to even to attend to their own health issues. Doctors too fall sick, health workers fall sick, nurses fall sick, pharmacists fall sick. Do we have the wherewithal to take care of those things when we fall sick? And you are attending to people. So when you look at the government, it's not sincere at all. Now, they oversee this medical tourism. The other time when Buhari, I'm sorry to say this one, was traveling abroad, I said it. I have the paper, Punch newspaper with me, and I said, look, rather than traveling abroad for this problem, the elements that you think that we don't have, why can't you bring, if you believe in those specialists, bring them in here. Let them bring the equipment here. Let them do what have you. By the time they will be leaving, they will have taught our own specialists too, that this is what you could not see, this is what you could not see. They will know, number one. Number two, the equipment they brought will stay with us here. You understand my point? And we can use it for other people. Instead of you traveling everywhere and then, why are we to where we are now? If you put your own house in order, do you have to travel abroad? It's not only Buhari. Every, once they get to a level in service or what have you, they believe they have anything, you should just take the next available flight and travel. And you now leave those who elected you, those who are paying tax, you understand, for you to remain in office, use their money, and you leave them to the shoddy, what have you have, and the system you have in the land. Sure, understand? How many patients you see now with head injury that you say go and do CT scan for me or MRI for me, that can afford it? But if you have NHIs in place or whatever, you take them there, you see the card on them, they do it for them without them paying at that point, and you'll be able to treat them very well. We have the wherewithal, but because there's no political way to do it, that's what we're having. So until our government is sincere, and because our people are not asking questions, anybody, when they are asking questions, rather they're in the opposition, they're not sincere. When PDP was in opposition, this APC were asking a lot of questions because they were in the opposition, painting them black out. What have you? Now APC is in government, PDP is now doing the same thing to them. When they were there, what did they do? Did they do anything? No. So the few people that you see that are asking questions here and there are because they have lost power, or when they were seeking power. So, but let people who are not politicians, who are not in any of the political party, come out and say what your people are doing is wrong. Now people will now say they are demanding for their rights. The same set of people that are supposed to ask questions will be the first people that will be condemning those who are asking for their rights. If teachers should go on strike today, you see people will be telling them, because of our children, because of what have you, tell the government to do the right thing for the teachers
before they go
on strike. But they will not ask. It's only when they go on strike, you not start blaming them. Until when we all come together and say we must demand for our rights from governments, irrespective of the profession we are talking about. Whether it is ASU we are talking about, whether it is teachers we are talking about, whether it is labor we are talking about, tell government to do the needful. All this money they are taking here and there, that they are stealing here and there. If we are out demanding for them, there won't be enough for them to steal. So those are the issues we have. Now we ask about what is dichotomy in the health sector. I don't really understand what you mean by dichotomy in the health sector anyway. But people are talking about relativity in
because I've heard people also say the medical professionals have been pampered. For instance, if you are coming into the civil service, it's not you are not starting with the same grade level.
Yeah, let me tell you why that.
And then
let me tell you why that. If you are doing a 4-year course, you have 8 semesters, isn't it? And when you talk of the number of hours, the number of weeks you spent, it is scored based on that. When you are doing MBBS, you understand, you have more than 6 years divided by the semester or multiplied by the semesters. You have about 12 semesters. Aside from that one, you have in between that you don't even go on strike, you don't go, on holidays at all. So I can say each year is about 3 semesters for them instead of two semesters. When you look at it, at the end of the day, they rated MBBS at the same thing as PhD by the time you are coming out. Just in terms of the number of hours you put into your studies, so in content and in what's it called? So by the time you want to enter, that is the level that you enter with. It's only if you are demanding, because people they lack information. They just believe, oh, why must you a doctor enter at level 12? Once you now see that number of hours put into your training, and if somebody has done PhD and it has put the same number of hours into his own training, and they are entering at level 12, and you have done the same thing, so you enter at that level. Unless you want to tell them that drop medicine from 6 years to 4 years.
With what you have said, Dr. Alayaki, should it not then be appropriate for some of these professionals, let me use your profession too, because the society recognizes that a special one, that's why they are exempted for some things. There's agencies when there is curfew, when there's restriction of movement, they are exempted from all those things. We thought that's fair. So, is it not, don't you think we should now pull this group of professionals out of the public service rule?
We have said this, we have asked for it, that they should remove from the concurrent list and be put in exclusive list. Just understand? Earth should not be in the concurrent list. But the willpower to do it lies with the government. They will not allow it to fly. And they know the reason why they will not allow it to fly. Just understand? So those are the issues.
We quickly take some again from Yamida Vinci. What we need right now is a state of emergency in the health sector. We need more hospitals and doctors and also nurses. Prince Adewale tweeted, the Bible says that do not muzzle an ox when it is threshing. This is what the government of the day is doing to civil servant. Again from NRS Deidre Ogunoike, why is it that NMA prevents government from approving Johesu demands seen in the last Johesu strike? Has Johesu ever done such? And we got this one from Shodunke Kazim. Government should just help us on a health sector. Most government hospitals lack adequate facilities. And more tweets coming in. Maybe we just leave the tweets for now, take a message and then some calls so that you can have your reactions because of the time. We got this one from Pius from Shaje. If our leaders are still traveling abroad for medical checkup, these problems will continue. We just pick a couple of calls more and then
Let us speak two. Let's speak two because there are issues Dr. Lackey has to address.
Hello.
And of course, we have less than 10 minutes to do this. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Dr. Ayodo. Oh, sorry, Mr. Ayodo. Good morning.
All of the above. Thank you. Good morning.
Maybe Dr. Alayaki will work you.
Okay.
Dr. Alayaki.
Good morning, sir.
It's a long time. I thought you have retired.
I'm sorry.
You are long in the business. You are long in the business.
Thank you.
You need to see him. He looks like a 17-year-old physically.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, Dr. Alayaki.
Yes, sir.
Yes. A medical worker.
Yes, sir.
Transporter. A technician.
Yes, sir.
Laboratory attendant.
Yes, sir.
Wants to become PM.
Yeah.
That's absurd. I am over 77.
Yes, sir.
I've never had it like that. In all hospitals, doctors used to be head. In those days, when doctors are on ward round, nurses will follow them.
Yes,
But
sir.
these days, nurses will just stay away. They just say, let him do the work and will do. Is it normal? And is it normal for all other workers wanting to become dead for God's sake? That's why we have all this rottenness in medical service. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. We won't be able to take any other callers. So many messages and tweet, and of course, our guests need to also answer. Before we go back to the tweet, Shelley, Dr. Lackey, is it true that NMA is preventing government?
No. Like I said, people in government, when we submitted memoranda to Yarali Hamid, I said NMA was represented by NMA itself and pathologists. Why other people? There were 30 associations from them, and they all submitted memoranda. They are regulatory bodies submitted memoranda. They looked at everything before they came out with the paper, the final report they came out with. So there was no way we could have been preventing. You know, if you cannot get something through the front door, you don't get it through the back door. If you know this thing is not there, there is a minimum, prerequisite, something laid down for you to be this or be that or be what have you, to achieve this or not to achieve this. If you know you cannot achieve it through the front door, you don't go through the back door. Or rather, go to the National Assembly and say, okay, amend this thing for us, amend this thing for us. And if you want to amend that one, these are the documents to support our claims. We don't just say because we've stayed long in the hospital, I've watched a surgeon, this is how he does it, and this because of that one, I can do it equally. Because he's never done anywhere. You won't say because you are being a crew.
No, the medical director's position is mainly about administration.
Please, but if I'm not saying it, if you want to change it, just those who drafted or crafted that something knew what they were doing. Go to National Assembly and change it there. If you can say true, we sit down together and say, okay, let us have this, let us have this. If it cannot be done, then you don't say because of that one, every now and then you'll be calling on strike or what have you. Go and do the right thing. If you do the right thing, it will be done. So nobody is preventing anybody.
Messages?
Or we just take some tweets more. Jolani Robert tweeted, the insecurity coming from government is the basis for all the problem we're facing. High time they stopped it. And we got this one from IG King Fields _ Fields. Thank you very much. I'll get it from the App Store. All right, thank you, IG King _ Fields. Prince Adewale tweeted, Dr. Alayaki, why do patients have to pay before seeing doctors after paying for any other necessary things? And this came from Yemi Da Vinci. That President Buhari, Senator Akpabio, and the Ogo getting treatment outside Nigeria is a slap on our health sector. It's infuriating. Shodunkeh Kazim tweeted again, if we have adequate facilities here, our president wouldn't have the bragging rights to travel abroad for treatment. And we got this one from NRS Dedre Ogunoike. Can't there be a collaboration between nurses, doctors, pharmacists, and other professionals to salvage the Nigerian health sector? Yemi Da Vinci tweeted again, I personally think that doctors are just being arrogant over medical director thing. A medical director is a business manager. And we got this one from Jolani Robert. If federal government can equip the various government hospitals to a reasonable standard, it will record high patronage and money will be made. Kule Gab tweeted, the problem of the health sector is the Ministry of Health and the federal government. And we got this one from James Ajibade. The only way out is for all politicians and head of all government parastatals to stop medical trip abroad. They're not serious with our health sector. We got this one from Yamida Vinci. We need a law that prohibits government officials from seeking medical treatment abroad and in private hospitals. And this came still from Yomida Vinci. Mr. Ayodo, if governments agree to all UN recommendations on budget for health, education, etc., how much will remain in budget? And this came from Akiola Adekunle. Oh, the last caller, despite his age, okay? Now, Akiola Adekunle, you don't worry about that. We've always said it that when you're sending your message, you don't have to insult anyone and you have to mind your language. All right, this is very, very rude. And please, next time, please watch it. Thank you so much. All right, those are the tweets we got here.
All right, thank you for that. Dr. Lackey, we are almost up. So let's get you react to some of those tweets.
The only one I'm going to react to is that why patients have to pay before seeing a doctor. Doctors is in business. He went to school.
I think you're talking about the public.
No matter what, I said it. Health is not free. Let government pursue and implement NHIS to the latter. If that one is done, you go to the hospital without paying. But you have been paying one way or the other. Somebody has been paying for it.
Yeah.
But if they're not implementing it, so when you get to the hospital, you have to do out-of-pocket payments. You have to pay for, seeing a doctor, and for every facility, anything you're going to take, you have to pay for them. So they should go and attack government. That government, please implement NHS to the letter.
Well, okay, quickly, because we just have 2 minutes for this. How can the NHS scheme work properly?
Oh, thank you very much. I think on paper, when you look at it, it's a beautiful program. Unfortunately, the managers are the people who are not managing very well. If we started since the days of Obasanjo until today, we have not covered more than 5%, 5 to 15%. You understand? It means that that scheme is a failure. Whereas it's not like that in other crimes. You understand? What does it mean? It has to be a pool. You have a pool of money somewhere. I pay 500 monthly, but I'm not going to the hospital. Anytime I go to the hospital, they should give me what I'm supposed to be giving. If you have 2,000 enrollee in your hospital, the 2,000 will not come to the hospital at the same time. Well, the money of 2,000 have been paid to you. So if only 200, are in the hospital, you use the money for 2,000 people to treat, those people, and you treat them adequately well. So that's the essence of doing NHIs. Unfortunately, as the money is coming in, it's being mismanaged, and everybody is paying lip service to it until we get it right.
All right, until we get it right, and getting it right will not stop on the table or doorstep of everybody but individuals. So do your quota as a Nigerian. Well, that's where we will end it today. Tomorrow, yes, it's a Friday. That means it's an open day. The opportunity will come for all of you to continue with this discussion or any other topic that you think is appropriate. Dele Ayodo is my name. I say God bless you all. God bless Rock City and God bless Nigeria. And of course, thank you so much, Dr. Adewunmi Alayaki.
Thank you very much. This is now Zoom. I greet you all. Thank you.
I am Aghemerio. Oaikhenan. Good morning.